welcome to Tormenta Talk, our second episode of this podcast. We are La Tormenta Supporters Group, the supporters group for West Texas FC out here in Midland, Texas. I'm here with Brian Hodna, Chris Haig. I am Luke McDonald, and we're excited to mostly talk players today and kind of positions and what that's looking like. But first, this past week we had the jersey reveal that Brian is repping there if you're watching the video. There it is, in that beautiful Texas sunset yellow. Mellow yellow. Yeah, so Brian, what was your kind of take on the jersey reveal as an event, on the jersey? How did all that go?
Well, I mean, Tall City put up a great event. You know, Melissa, West Texas FC, they had the booth set up. Super secret lock and key. We're very strict about releasing it this time. Garnered a lot of interest, had a lot of soccer fans there. So it was really nice to see, countdown 3, 2, 1, yellow comes out. You're like, oh, look, it's different, it's new. So, but yeah, it was a great show, man. I mean, it was really cool. The vibe amongst the people, the vibe amongst the soccer fans said, hey, it's a different color kit. So this year, man, it's a good change. A little bit of fresh. Let's go, do something with it.
Yeah, my first reaction was it was interesting because, being a Premier League fan, like your home kit really doesn't drastically change, right? Like it alters a bit, but your colors certainly never change. And so first it was almost kind of like when I had kind of got inklings that our home kit was changing, it was a bit odd. But then the more I thought about it, with such a short season, with it being so difficult to travel to games, I think it makes a lot of sense actually, because it kind of defines the season for us fans to see a different, a wildly different jersey, and so I thought that was cool. I really grew to appreciate it, even though my first reaction was kind of like, "What? You don't do that," But like I said, this league and the way it's set up, and just kind of the way the fan base is, like, it's fun to see that jersey and know what season that's from. Where. Mm-hmm. The first 2 years, like, it changed, but it wasn't enough that you kind of have to really look close to see the differences because they're a little more subtle. But
I thought about it from my perspective as a former high school coach as well, because in high school our away kit is always white, and we know that the West Texas away kit has been white. And I don't know what the rules are necessarily in NPSL if it has to be white, but if the away kit is white, then you just don't have as many options to play with colors. So make the home kit another color, use a secondary color, right? And I think it's cool, and like you said, this will define our 2025 season and have this memory with this particular kit, and change it up. Besides just a little bit of design, but just changing up the color is exciting.
Yeah, I'm hoping for one day we get a collab with Whataburger, and we have a Whataburger that looks like one of the number kits, the stripes and everything.
Like with the little thing.
Yeah, the little table topper. Yeah, the one we all stole all the time. Yeah, those.
Hey, I don't know what you're talking about.
Yeah, admit nothing while on video. I understand.
Yeah, so Chris, it was also kind of us having our first kind of like being officially La Tormenta, being able to kind of, talk to people, tell people what we're up to, hand out some stickers. We had our scarves there for anybody who had signed up, kind of, and you were much more kind of boots on the ground talking to people, and those scarves were flying. By the end of the an hour or two in, there were tons of people around. It was like, I don't know that guy, but he's rocking the Tormenta scarves. That's awesome. So what was that like?
Yeah, for sure. I mean, it was exciting to have an in-person event, and kind of the first one of 2025, just to get people connected. So I was just going up to people, anybody that I saw with the new yellow jersey, either on or hanging around their shoulder or set on the table next to them, and just introducing myself and letting them know about La Tormenta. And I think we got about a dozen people signed up. Got them scarves, got them signed up. So if you're listening to this, thanks for chatting with me and being interested and being a part of our group from the very beginning. And that's what we're excited about. Keep having these events and just connecting with more soccer fans, more West Texas FC fans, and building this group that we have. So, even though this was, a couple of hours, like you said, and it was kind of different groups sitting here and there, it was a great opportunity for us to start connecting people. And it's just going to be a lot of fun when we all start to see each other before games even start, when we have other events and that type of thing in town.
Yeah, no doubt, man. No doubt. And Yeah, it was just exciting to feel already that connectedness, right? And getting to meet so many people that were there for the jersey reveal, and we're just excited about the team in general, and to kind of meet new people that, we feel like it's a small community of fans, but like I got to meet tons of people that have been into the team. And so that's super fun. When we talk about the team, we have had a handful of announcements as far as players. So maybe let's start by just talking about kind of maybe how many players we've signed, and then also kind of what positions are still, yet to be announced or yet to be chosen. And then we really want to plug that this Saturday, the 22nd, is that right?
Yeah.
The 22nd in the morning will be tryouts for the locals. So that'll be super fun if we can get some more, Permian Basin people in on that team.
Yes.
But yeah, you guys want to just talk a little bit about kind of what the announcements would look like and what positions we're still kind of anticipating?
Yeah, for sure. And I'll kind of start and just mention a little bit about who's been signed broadly. And I've got my printout here of a little spreadsheet. I work in education, so I had spring break last week and I had plenty of time to start compiling a list. And maybe we can drop that in the show notes as well. And anybody who's interested can check that out and see the list of players and where they're coming from and that type of thing. But we've got, I think, 12. I don't have numbers on this printout, but I think we have 12 players signed and announced so far. So probably about half of our roster. Very heavy in the attack at the moment.
Yes.
Ryan
what I
mentioned
like.
before we started recording, no goalkeepers. So that's to come. And I think only a couple of defenders, 2 defenders at the moment. So at the moment, signing more attackers. We got to bring in some defensive reinforcements, some goalkeepers as well. And then I'll also mention that of those 12, if I counted correctly the other day, I think there are 9 nationalities represented, which is super cool. So we have this very diverse squad and some diversity in terms of ages too. So looking at, what level, grade level, class that players were last year in college. Some of them are seniors, juniors, but some of them are freshmen as well this past school year. So we've got some diversity in terms of age and experience as well. And I know Brian wanted to mention one of the players we're most excited about coming back.
Antoine Marquez, Apia.
Apia!
Leading scorer last year, 13 goals, 13 matches. What can you say about the guy? People look back and they didn't realize he was our leading scorer.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, Luke had a great run. We had a bunch of guys striking the ball. Apia was our leading goal scorer. So we've got our guy back, coming back, bring some of that fire back from last year's group. So it's going to be interesting seeing what he's got out there for us this year. A little bit more skill, one year more mature. Dude, I'm excited. I want to see if he can get 15, 17, maybe 20. Think we might be able to put 20 up?
There you go. Yeah, I was always
in a 10-game season, average 2 a match. Hey, in PSL, baby, we can do it.
That's right. Well, and I was always just so impressed with, and it probably speaks to what you were talking about. He was just so consistent. We'd have players who just exploded one game and maybe had a quieter next game, but he was just always there. And even the intro to our podcast has an Apia goal, at least the audio from an Apia goal. And every time, I just remember last year, Brandon, because I sat right next to Brandon, who was our commentator. And so, Brandon, if you're listening, you were the best. And every time Marquez would score, that's what you'd hear, just screaming, just, yeah! It was just like, every time it was just like an explosion. It's just so good. So I'm really excited to have him back, and looking forward to kind of what this season holds for him.
Oh yeah.
And one of the things I'm excited about for him and for the squad is too is like he was. So last year, this past school year, he was working as a graduate assistant coach at Faulkner University, and multiple players are also being signed from Faulkner. So that's just even more leadership, right? He's got experience playing last year, but he's got leadership working as a graduate assistant coach. And so that's huge to have that sort of veteran presence, but then almost like a quasi-player coach who can kind of help out on the field as well.
Think about the chemistry that comes with that too, knowing those guys.
Exactly.
That's one thing that we're going to need to happen real quick and real fast. Lots of new faces. This isn't the same team from last year. None of these NPSL teams are really the same from last year. So if they can bring some of that from Faulkner into West Texas, we're going to gel early. It's going to be trouble.
Yeah,
for sure. Yeah, and so as we're talking about players, just again, we really want to plug anybody listening that knows anyone locally who would love to go out and try out this Saturday morning. Scotty will be there, and then later that day we get to meet Scotty at Tall City at 12:30. So March 22nd, this Saturday, tryouts in the morning. Then 12:30 is when is kind of meet Scotty.
16 and up for the tryouts too, man. If you're in high school, think you're a baller, go out there and bang around with the big guys.
Yeah,
awesome. Go show them what you got.
Mm-hmm. No doubt, we love having those local guys on the team. So, so we each kind of looked into one or two players specifically, and we'll do this over the course of these episodes just to really start to try to get to know them. You know, it is a short season, and so we want to spend as much time as we can just getting to know these guys, kind of figuring out what our expectations are, and really mostly just to get excited, right? Because you watch any of these guys on highlights and it just like kind of fuels that fire. So I'll get started because I am a Scotland supporter. And so when I saw that we had a Scot on the team, I was elated.
You called dibs immediately on this player to give the breakdown.
And then, you know, all I remembered was we've got a Scotsman, right? And so the more I look at his name is Lucas Fenton. Right, and so he's a defensive midfielder, which when I played, that was my position. Typically plays in the center. His name's Lucas, and we have the same birthday month. Our birthdays are less than a week away from one another, so I think it was just fate, right? But there's something about every time I watch any teams, and I go, man, I like the look of that guy. It just always ends up being someone from Scotland. I just love the way. I love the way Scotland plays. You know, it's gritty, it's hardworking, and Lucas totally fits that. So he's been playing the last couple years at Niagara University, a D1 soccer program, and I'll post in the show notes, and I've already put it on the Discord. But I was actually able to find a documentary. It's like a short mini documentary on YouTube that was a guy from Scotland who came to Niagara University and was just trying to get a feel for what is it like playing D1 soccer in the States. And so him being kind of a kinsman with Lucas ends up in that documentary a lot. So it's really fun just to kind of, you don't just get stats, but you get a lot of the personality of the guy. And what's interesting is that he seems very chill, right? On the surface, he's not a big, loud, boisterous guy, but when you watch the highlights of him play, the dude is a beast. So the defensive midfield role is all about connecting, right? The passage of play from the back, pushing it forward, and so it calls a lot from a player because you got to be good at passing. You have to really be kind of attacking minded, but you also have to put in a shift at the back. And some of it's pretty thankless work. And that, I think, one thing that I saw was him just hustling, and the dude isn't afraid of a tackle. He put in some crunching tackles in his highlight reel, and we'll post that as well. But it was like, you know, just that grit, and where two players collide and you go, ooh, Lucas is up immediately. The other guy is down for a little while, right? And that's just the type of player he is. Besides that, the dude has a rocket for a leg. So there were several 50, 60-yard just dimes to guys running up the wing, running up the center. And then he did a few off foot too. So he's a right-footed player, but even with his left foot, the dude can just – it's like these Alexander Arnold, you know, just flying through the air and somehow just wind up right at the guy's feet. And so I think he's really going to be a key point in the transition play, right, going from defense to offense, because the guy seems like he's just – really solid at both of those things. And playing D1 soccer, he really has been playing at a high level up in New York. And so I'm really excited to kind of see exactly how that role shows up in the team, right? With guys like Apia just flying up the wing, having a guy like Lucas at the back to be able to get him the ball, to be able to get the ball from the opposing team right, and then be able to deliver these crazy passes up front. And so I think the guy's just a stud. He's just incredible. And so I think you guys will agree once you dig into his stuff a little bit. So I'm excited for y'all to watch those highlights and kind of get a feel for him. So Brian, who'd you look up?
Yeah, the guy I've got, and I'm probably going to butcher this last name, Cole Worthmuller. I think that's about the best way I can put it out. Correct me if I'm wrong. Anybody that knows on the podcast, I'm here for the criticism. Bring it.
We'll ask Scotty on Saturday.
Yeah. It's like, pronounce it for me, man. 22-year-old forward, striker. Hometown, Medina, Ohio. Started his collegiate career at Eastern Carolina, D1. Right now he's a senior. I don't know if he just graduated, but at Wright State Division I school there as well. Right-footed. Scored 10 goals last season in 2024 to lead his team. The dude has a wall of plaques just from the past this year, last year. Horizon League Offensive Player of the Year. Horizon League All-First Team. College Sports Communicators All-Academic All-District Third Team. United Soccer Coaches All-North Region Second Team. Horizon League Fall Scholar Athlete of the Season. OCSA All-Ohio Second Team. OCSA All-Ohio All-Academic Team. I like academics when it comes to athletes as well. Tells you got a smart player. This guy right here, I haven't got to break down a whole bunch of highlights and see a bunch of stuff like you did with your guy, the ones I did. He's going to be dangerous. It's going to be real nice.
Like
service from the back to the front. It's going to be nice.
Yeah, and I like what you said about smart players. That's something that stood out for Lucas as well. 3.88 GPA, I think, while working full-time and going to school and playing. And so that says a lot about just the mental capacity of a player, and was a former captain. And so you got that leadership. You've got guys who really know how to read the game. So that's exciting to kind of hear that from other players as well, that it's guys who really can kind of handle the mental side of the game.
Yep.
Yeah, for sure.
Because, I mean, that's D1 university, man. I mean,
Right.
A double-digit goal scorer from D1 is huge. No matter what school or conference you're playing at, that's awesome to have.
Yeah, and I mean, like I said, the guy's got a laundry list of awards. I mean, he looks like exactly what we want up there in the middle. Like I said, Luke McDonald's going to be tough to replace, but Cole might be the guy.
You said Luke McDonald's going to be tough to replace, and while I agree,
Luke McDonald, yes,
I totally
very
agree.
hard to replace.
My fault, my friend. Yes, you are not wrong. Neither one of you are hard to replace. But yeah, so Cole might be our guy. So be excited to see how him, Apia, and whoever our right wing or however they line it up is. I mean, like I said, all up from here.
No doubt. How about you, Chris?
So I cheated a little bit and chose two players, but two teammates, and so I'll explain kind of why. The first player is Ian Garnero, who he's an Argentinian midfielder, right? What more do you need to say, right?
Done.
Every good team needs an Argentinian midfielder. So he's coming from Kaiser University. He was a senior this past year. Honestly, not a lot of game footage that I could find on him, clips and that sort of thing. But what I really like about him is, if you look at his stat line isn't going to stick out like crazy. He had a goal and 3 assists. So as a midfielder, as a central midfielder, I don't know how deep he plays, that sort of thing. But he was the team captain. Kaiser was their conference champions. They play in NAIA and the Sun Conference. He was on their first team All-Sun Conference selection. The team made a national tournament appearance. So that's a lot of leadership right there, right? A player who is a team captain on a successful squad, and he just graduated, just went through his senior year, so he's bringing in that experience, which is huge. And one of the clips that I could find was a post-game interview from his coach, and his coach was talking about Ian and saying that he's the type of player that if he plays the entire game and you pull him out at 89th minute, he's mad at you as coach because he wants to play every single minute. And he's like he described him as like a quiet leader, right? The type of guy who leads by example. He's not up and yelling in your face, but he's going to do everything that he needs to and lead by example. So I'm excited for him as just a veteran player and a leader, and see what that looks like. But then I also wanted to highlight his teammate from Kaiser, Gabi Villafañe, who's from Venezuela, and he I found more highlights on him, but he's an attacking player as well. Plays, I think in the announcement maybe it was listed as a midfielder or an attacking midfielder, but all these clips that I saw, he was playing out on the wings, both left and right. And last year at Kaiser, he had 5 goals, 9 assists. This was his junior season. He's got 10 goals and 20 assists on his career at Kaiser.
Whoa.
Also, first team All-Sun Conference, led the Sun Conference in assists last year with 9. And just watching his highlights, he's good on the ball, he's clean on the ball, and especially when he's on the left side, he's right-footed, so he does a great job of getting forward but then cutting inside with that right foot, taking shots on goal, or finding somebody with a pass. And then same when he's on the right side, trying to get down to the end line and chipping in across. So yeah, Gabi Villafañe, I think, is a player to watch as that attack develops. As you were saying, Luke, like how do we line up across that front line? I would expect him to be part of that for sure.
Man, that's exciting. Just having 2 guys who have played before, right? Our team doesn't have much time to gel. So when you have, guys who are coming in who Apia knows that can play well together, that kind of know each other, when you've got some teammates who are coming in, both having, played a lot of soccer at the highest level, like it's really exciting to think about just what does that do for our team, just being able to click a little quicker. It always takes a few games to kind of figure things out. So I wonder if a lot of these strategies by Scotty and all of the other individuals who are finding these guys, if they're really trying to just kind of fast track to where we can play together.
For sure.
Yeah.
That's a lot of team captains too, man. Like, that's exciting.
The team captains is exciting. This kind of goes back. This is a random aside, but it kind of goes back to, I don't know if y'all have heard about this with like the U.S. men's national team. Right now the U.S. men's national team is really talented and has these young players playing in Europe, and they're very talented, but they haven't had quite the same success as 10, 12 years ago, 15 years ago, where some of those players back then were playing in MLS, not at the highest level. But I heard this in an interview from somebody where all of those players back then playing in the MLS, they were all team captains. They were all leaders on the squads where they played. And so hopefully that translates a little bit here, where you have these veteran players who have an important role at their squad, wherever they've been playing, or team captains. And then, like you said, it's all about gelling together and connecting on this new team.
Yep.
Mm-hmm.
So I guess when it comes to other players we're on the lookout for, definitely kind of thinking about more of one side of the pitch, right? Which, I don't know, just the idea of having so many like midfielders in the team, it's just midfielders, a lot of times they really kind of read the game differently, right? A lot of times you end up with the guys who really can kind of dictate the match. And so even if we have players who kind of maybe play forward or midfield, maybe we bring that skill set to just the whole attacking kind of side of the pitch, which is really exciting. And then I'll be really anxious to see kind of who we end up with in defense and in the goal. But it sounds like just from these guys, like what a team. And then we know what we're getting with Scotty. And so the combination is just pretty appealing in a strong way.
And I'm like you said, I'm curious about the defense and curious about goal. I know, Brian, you mentioned that off the top about no goalkeepers yet, but we do have a goalkeeping coach, which is exciting. And I don't have didn't print out that page of coaches, but I forget his name. He's from Italy. And that's exciting just to have a very experienced guy who has played at the college level and then coached and played on other club teams and that sort of thing. So no matter who comes in as our goalkeeper as players, or what that goalkeeping unit looks like, if there's 2 or 3, we have a really experienced coach. And I think that's going to be huge to get them playing at a high level.
Yeah. Because, I mean, we've had some great keepers in the past. I mean, if you remember back to Juan from season 1 from Colombia, he was one of the best goalkeepers out of Colombia. Yeah. I mean, Chris and Alex last year, and Santi never really got to get in. But we had some real good guys back there. So I'm kind of curious on what we're going to do there, because, I mean, that can make or break us.
Yeah.
You know, as much as you want to say the defense, lines up for the goalkeeper, whatever. Sometimes you just got to make a save, man. Sometimes you got to stop a PK. That could be the difference in a match. That could be the difference in a championship and sitting there and watching on TV.
Yeah.
So I'm excited
and
to see where they get there.
I remember last year talking to the coaches, and it was like, what's the most important thing to you? You don't get much time, so what's priority one? And I remember the both coaches talking about game intelligence, just player intelligence, just getting them, trying to help them to just be able to understand and read the game a little bit better than when they got there. And, if that's our priority again, then, it worked out pretty well last year. So
Yeah.
I'd say we're in pretty good shape.
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
So anything else, guys, before we sign off? We really want to plug Saturday's a big day for West Texas FC. So anybody who can get out there, and again, we'll be out there. We'll have the scarves. If you want to sign up when you're there, if you want to sign up beforehand, you can pick up scarves there. But we'll all be rocking the yellow jerseys, I'm sure. And there just to see Scotty again. Hadn't seen him, in a long time.
Yeah.
And so excited just to kind of feel out his excitement, and hear a bit more about some of these players, from him, who obviously probably knows them better than anybody.
Yeah.
And I'll also just add, hope to see people out at Tall City on Saturday, but also between events, those who just signed up this past week, we'll get you added. We're kind of slow getting you added, but we'll get you added to Discord. Keep the conversation going in Discord, right? As we see new players popping up, things that you're interested in as we kind of get closer to the season. But keep that conversation going. In Discord, we have various channels beyond just West Texas FC, but also other leagues, other things around the community. But just engage with everybody there, and excited to keep getting to know everyone who's joining this group.
Yep. And I want to say May 17th is our first official match for the season. It's an away game against the Fort Worth Vaqueros. So we'll be, I'm sure, having a watch party as details come. We'll let y'all know time, place, all the good stuff for that.
But there will be one.
Yeah, trust me, there will be one and somewhere.
Yeah.
I mean, we got to support them somehow. If we're not going to drive all the way out to Fort Worth, we're going to be here, doing our thing, enjoying our La Tementra, family. So,
Yep.
No doubt. And I will say, too, this is just totally off topic, but it has been fun that the whole time we've been discussing, I'm sure from all three of our houses, you can hear the wind in the background. It is whipping. And so it's fun.
When that
it's not a
alert
sound
came
effect.
across.
It's a genius idea. We should add it for all the episodes, just to have the storm in the background, right? Because it's building.
Yeah, this is the season of La Tormenta in more ways than one, right?
Right.
Yep. Yep.
Fantastic. Well, yeah, and anything else that people want to hear on the podcast, right? We have our interests, and we have things that we're curious about that we go and look at, and we go, man, let's talk about this. Because anytime the three of us get together, regardless of what we're doing, we're talking soccer in some form or fashion, and most of the time it's West Texas FC. And so we could talk about anything. And so if there's something specific that anyone wants to hear about or learn more about, I think probably in the near future we'll talk a little bit about NPSL, because it's kind of its own unique thing, and it's helpful to kind of understand the league a little bit. But yeah, get on the Discord, because that's where a lot of that stuff happens too. I know just while we've been sitting here, there have been some messages coming in about a watch party for the USA on Thursday. So, and it's the soccer community. It's not all West Texas FC. It's just people who are into the sport in any form or fashion, because, we're all fans. And so make sure that you get on there. Anything else, gentlemen?
No, not for me.
All right. Well, we are an official nonprofit organization. I didn't even think to mention that. Chris has just crushed it getting all that stuff set up, and we are as official as it gets at this point. So that's super exciting, and that opens up a ton of possibilities for us. So thanks for all your work on that, Chris.
Absolutely, and it may, for those that are signing up or thinking about signing up, or if you've already signed up, it may change what like sign up looks like, or what payment for different things, merch, scarves, etc., might look like. But yeah, we've been getting that all set up, which we're excited about as well.
Yep. It's gonna
All
be
right,
awesome.
last word, Brian. Sign us off.
Oh, gonna put me on the spot.
Yeah, I know.
Viva la tormenta.
There you go.
Vamos. All right, guys.
Vamos.
Have a good evening.
All right,
Thanks,
see you
guys.
Saturday. See you guys on the next one.